Hello, everyone. You're watching Stay-at-Home Cinema, brought to you by TIFF and Crave. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and at tiff.net/stay-at-home. I'm Cameron Bailey. I'm the artistic director and co-head of TIFF, and I want to welcome you. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, we're watching Bridesmaids. Starting at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, that is 4:45 on the West Coast, and we've got some very special guests coming up. Director Paul Feig and co-writers Mumolo and Kristen Wiig, who is also the star of the film. And because this is a Saturday night movie, and I know Paul Feig likes cocktails, I'm going to invite you now to get yourself some refreshment. It is a wedding movie of the sort, anyhow. Some shout outs before we start. As we always do, we want to acknowledge where we are. I'm speaking to you from Indigenous land, so I want to shout out all Indigenous creators, storytellers from coast to coast to coast and their communities. I want to thank all levels of government, Government of Canada, the Province of Ontario, and the City of Toronto for their support of TIFF. We also want to thank all frontline workers, many of them working for different government agencies to keep us safe and healthy and fed. And a special shout out tonight to Toronto's Baycrest Hospital. That's one of TIFF's longtime community partners on our inpatient programming Film Talks. Baycrest is a research institute with a focus on seniors and programs dedicated to identifying and treating the impact of age-related illnesses. Massive thanks to our corporate partners, Bell, RBC, Visa, and L'Oreal Paris. Those are our major partners. Also to all of our donors and members, maybe people like you watching tonight who supported us and kept us going for 45 years almost, and certainly through this period as well. Bridesmaids changed movies. It's not a rom-com, it's a buddy comedy. It's R-rated, it's raunchy, and it's conceived by two hilarious women. Bridesmaids opened almost exactly 9 years ago today and became one of the biggest hits of the year. It was made on a modest budget, grossed over $280 million around the world, scored Oscar nominations for Best Original Screenplay and for Melissa McCarthy's Best Supporting Actress performance. The American Film Institute named it the Movie of the Year. And I'm so happy tonight to be joined by three of its key creative forces. Mumolo is the co-writer of Bridesmaids. In addition to her writing, she's also acted in Bad Moms and This Is 40 and many, many more. Kristen Wiig is the co-writer and star of Bridesmaids, and she was absolutely brilliant on Saturday Night Live and has shown incredible range in films and everything from independent films like The Skeleton Twins, which if you haven't seen, you should see, to blockbusters like The Martian. Paul Feig is the director of Bridesmaids, also of Ghostbusters, and of course the creator of Freaks and Geeks, also a director on Arrested Development, The Office, and many, many more for both film and television. Paul, Kristen, Annie, welcome to Stay-at-Home Cinema.
Thank you so much.
Hey, you're well prepared. Thank you.
We didn't
what
get
happened to you two?
No.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
You got to come armed to these things. This is a bit of a Bridesmaids reunion, which is great. Thank you all for being here. The film premiered 9 years ago in May.
Crazy.
What do you remember from before it was a hit? When it was just hitting theaters? What do you recollect from then?
Oh, Annie, you have a funny story, don't you, about when people were calling and saying like, well,
oh yeah, the day we opened?
Yes.
Yeah.
I woke up to a lot of I'm sorry emails and messages saying the movie's not tracking well, so unfortunately a lot of people aren't gonna see it, but just know you worked really hard and you guys worked really hard and you made a good thing. It's just no one's gonna go see it. And then over the course of the day, the messages started changing, and I believe it was Paul who messaged at some point and said, go on Twitter, because at that time they had like the live feed where you could type in a certain keyword and it would start. And Paul said, go on Twitter and start seeing you'll see that like the
just put in Bridesmaids, yeah.
Yeah, just type in Bridesmaids, and it was like boom, 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 and we were like, oh, whoa. And then kind of thought, oh, maybe some people are seeing it. And then like over the course of the day, it started getting kind of like more and more. And then my mom had bought tickets for some friends from home to go see the movie. And so we went to a theater in my hometown, and we were walking up, and people were like streaming out of the theater, and they're like, sold out, Bridesmaids is sold out.
Wow.
And I was like, what? So I texted Kristen, and I was like, I think people are seeing the movie. Because we really thought no one was going to see it.
Nobody expected it to be a hit.
Yeah.
No, I had the same thing. I was literally that morning got a call from my agent because the whole thing we were told was if we didn't make more than $20 million opening weekend, we were going to be a disaster. Mm-hmm. And they called me up the first thing in the morning because they had done a midnight screening and it didn't do that well. And so they were like, it's going to make 13, sorry. And then, but throughout the day, it kept going up by 2 million. It kept falling new things. And then Melissa, who's my neighbor, she and Ben and Lori, my wife Lori, and I were having dinner in our back patio. And suddenly a text came in and said, like, it looks like it's going to be 21, it's going to be 23, it's going to be 25. And we were like, holy shit. So we actually all jumped into the car and drove down to the ArcLight. We were like this. That was our look on our face.
I got a problem. It's so many occasions these days. Kristen, once you did all realize what the success of this movie was going to be, what did that do for all of you? What did it do for movies that have women at the center? Because that was a bit of a risky gamble, I think, for the studio at the time.
Kristen, take it?
Oh, you want me to take that one?
Okay.
No. It's hard to say what it did, to be honest, because, you right after the movie came out, you'd hear like, oh, more things that are female centered, comedies are being greenlit. And maybe it's hard to say because I can't compare like the content that came out after, but like we still have a long way to go. Like there's still,
of course.
So it's kind of one of those things where like, yes, we're told that it made a difference and it's hard to have perspective on it and say how much difference it had. We're at a better place now than we were, I will say.
Well, there are a lot more movies that have come in its wake, Booksmart and Late Night and so many others.
Yeah.
I think we were surprised when people said to us, hey, what's it like letting, like, now that women are funny? And we were like,
yeah, that's kind of what I mean. It's like, it was sort of like so many other films and comedic performances have come before us and inspired us. And it just, it was such a weird thing to have this be that thing so late in the game of film.
Yeah, 2011.
We were getting a lot of pressure because I was getting a lot of stuff hearing just like, oh, if this doesn't do well, we're not going to be able to greenlight other women-led movies. And it was like, that's crazy. It just shows how backwards the town is that it became so important that we were able to do well.
Yeah.
The question of can women be funny had not occurred to us before because we had known so many funny women and we had been inspired in our lives by so many women and funny women. And so that question hadn't occurred to us until after when like press was happening. And then it was like, can women be funny? And it had never occurred to us before, I guess.
Annie, Kristen, you're both alumni of the Groundlings improv troupe. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because from what I understand from the film, there was a lot of improvisation that helped to kind of take the script to the next level. What does that training give you, both as screenwriters and then Kristen as an actor as well?
I mean, it definitely helps with screenwriting because I feel like that's sort of how Annie and I write. I mean, you just sort of like, a lot of the stuff, I would say probably all the stuff we write is very character based. And when you know who the character is and we can just sit there and, I mean, Annie and I just sort of improvise what these characters would say and then we'll laugh or, oh, that makes sense or, oh, that's good. And then we write that down. That's sort of like what writing is. You're either improvising with another person or like in your head, really. And as far as like for acting, it depends on what it is. I mean, a lot of jobs you don't improvise at all, but it does teach you, I guess, when you are improvising, if you're doing like an improv game on stage, you're obviously doing it very naturally because you're coming up with what you're saying. So it does kind of, I guess, help that muscle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And Paul, you're bringing the script by Kristen and Annie to life on set and on screen, and you've got this incredible cast working together. And what I love about the film is that each actor, each character kind of gets their moment. You know, it's Kristen's character's story, of course, but there's great scenes for each one of those actors. Can you talk a little bit about how you found the balance to make sure that all of those pieces fit?
Well, it all came from the script, really. I mean, Kristen and Annie wrote such a great script that it's really, I mean, the hardest thing in the world is to service that many characters in a satisfying way. Because, the lead characters always get their time, but then when there's these not ancillary, but they're, supporting characters, a lot of times they get the short shrift. And it was just nice that they had worked in all these arcs. And then for us, it was just kind of the math of like, how do we pare down what we have? Because, we had a great script, but then we played around a lot with it on the set. And so we had a lot of material to play with. But it was through the course of doing 8, 9, 10 test screenings over the course of like 3-4 months as we were editing it, where we could find what worked, what didn't, what needed more servicing, but it was the fact that we had so much material because of the great script they had and because of this amazing cast that were then such a font of doing alt kind of things, and then they'd have ideas and then we'd have ideas and just throwing it all in. And for me, the biggest thing is just shoot as much as you can, because if you don't have it, you don't have it. If you have it, there's too much of it, you don't have to use it. But we just had a wealth. I mean, my favorite thing in the world was when we were doing the airplane, and I just every time Kristen's like, just come in again. And I mean, every single time you came in, it was completely different. You being drunk and talking to Rose, and it was I could not get enough of it. And your mom was on set that day too. I remember that.
She was. And she wanted to be seen because all of the background were wearing like gray and black. And there's my mom. You'll see her. She's in a hot pink shirt. She's looking around. She's there.
She got her moment too.
She got her moment, yeah.
And I'd like to say one more thing. I can never, am I ever on a plane in the restroom where I don't start laughing thinking about Annie's lines about a woman who got sucked into the toilet.
Oh, I do too. I scared myself. I can't be in the bathroom anymore.
Yeah, that is a great cameo. Kristen, you and Rose Byrne have some particular great scenes together and some great chemistry, that friction that you generate. How much of that was scripted and how much of that was improv in terms of generating that tension between the two of you?
You mean in the actual scenes we did together?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know what. It's hard to say like what was improvised because I don't remember.
That's fair.
I remember you and Rose played around a lot in the car with the whole ugly crying thing.
That and when we were driving by you.
You surprised me with having no time.
We're like, let's do this.
Oh, really? I'm topless. That was an improv?
Yes, that was improv. One of the first nights that we were shooting, when Rose and I did the toasts for the engagement.
Yeah, which is hilarious. It just keeps going and going.
We just kept like rolling or whatever. And to go back to the first part of the question, the reason why it's hard to answer is because I would have to like go through each line and think.
Yeah.
Well, I think because people think, like if you're, because we get questions about improv all the time. And I think there's this general thought that the director just does like action and then people just start talking and like saying funny things. And I mean, I will say like, so it's hard to say exactly what was improvised and what was scripted, but Rose is so funny. And when we got her, it was like, it was such a dream. And she walked in the room and we're all like just staring at her. We're like, I've never seen a more beautiful person. And she's so funny, and improvising with her. I mean, she brought so much to that character, more than we could have imagined. And I love doing those scenes with her.
Yeah, it was amazing. Plus, we had so many versions of the script that we had written. when we wrapped, I had a stack in my garage that was like 5.5 feet tall. I took a photo of it, of all the different versions. Then we had such a fluid process when we were shooting that, Paul, you remember, you just wore Post-its because we would
really? On your suit, Paul?
They would just stick them on me, exactly.
Yeah.
We had these pads.
And we'd write something and we would just like.
I don't know how we did it because the scene would be rolling and like we'd get the shooting script version and then we'd like start to play and then the scene would be like rolling and we would start sticking stuff on his back and he'd have the, he'd just be like directing and he'd pull Post-its up and kind of like pick which ones to try and drive and guide the scenes and from with the post. I mean, I don't know how he did that. But
it's fun. It's like orchestrating an orchestra live as they're making up a symphony. But I mean, to go back to Kristen's point, I get that a lot too because people go like, oh, improv. They have this idea that we just kind of just show up and just make it up. Improv for us means sometimes changing a word, changing an attitude, changing a punchline, finding a different way to get to where it is. But if you don't have that great blueprint of that script, that's great. Because, some days you show up and there's just, there's not as much creativity just because if everybody's tired or whatever, you still have a great script. So if you just shot that script, you'd have something great. But then it's like, and then we get inspired and then more stuff comes on. But it's, we've never done anything where you go like, all right, just go ahead, do whatever you want.
No.
Also, we were blessed that everyone was, they were all amazing improvisers.
Well, that's the thing.
It was like a double treat.
Yeah, totally.
They could all take a curveball and just
run with it. Yeah. So much of the success of the film, I think, too, is the balance of tones. You've got some great character comedy, some subtle stuff going on between you and Maya Rudolph's character, and you and Rose Byrne and the others, and Chris O'Dowd as well. But then there's these incredible physical comedy set pieces. The fitting scene, especially, which has become a classic. Can you talk about, putting that scene together and then also just finding that balance between just completely going for it with physical, raunchy comedy and then the more nuanced pieces?
I mean, if I can jump in real quick, the big broader stuff, if you will, all has to be in service of the story. And, what you see in a lot of comedies, they just go like, oh, now we're just going to go crazy. But, the Dress Shop came out of the idea of like, what's the funniest way we can show that Annie screwed up because she was trying to be cooler than she is or trying to act like she has more money than she does. And in the face of overwhelming evidence, she's not going to back down. So then it just became the comedy of like, how much more can we show is going wrong that she won't admit it's going wrong? So that's why you relate to that. If it was just people like throwing up and running around, it wouldn't be funny. But it's the fact that in the middle of this, there's Kristen sweating
and not admitting a thing.
Going like, no, I'm fine. And then there's a horror show going on. And she's like, no, everybody's fine. That's why it's funny. And so that brings it down to a realistic level, even though it's heightened.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to ask you, Annie and Kristen, I know you're working together on a new movie, which I think we were expecting to see this year, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. And Annie, this time you're co-starring with Kristen as well. What can you tell us about this new project?
Well, the release date's been moved. We're excited about it. I mean, it's these two middle-aged women who go on their first vacation together, and it's really silly, and I don't know what can we say about it.
I know it's a different tone from Bridesmaids. It's much sillier.
Jamie Dornan is in it. He's hilarious.
Right.
Yeah, we're really.
We'll see it sometime next year. Is that right?
Yeah, I think next July. I think it got pushed a year. Yeah.
Okay, I look forward to that. Yeah. We've got a couple of questions that have come in from our members and from social media. I'll just throw a couple to you if you don't mind. This is from GoBLK Phoenix on Instagram. Have you ever thought about making a Bridesmaids sequel? I'm sure you've heard that one also.
Never heard that question before.
You should think about it, Kristen.
So now we have
and the answer is?
I mean, such a good time making the first one, and it feels very, it is what it is, and it's a very special, obviously very special to the three of us. And I don't know, there's some things I feel like you make them, you're proud of them, and you put them out into the world, and then you just I don't know. Don't make another.
I mean, also, I think you have to have a story that you felt like you felt so compelled to tell that, and we just, we didn't.
Well, I mean, the reason why that movie works is because it's this woman going through a real crisis and her coming out of it. That's what pulls you through it. So if you do a sequel, she can't have another crisis, because then you're like, well, come on, So then, because a lot of people go like, oh, it'll be somebody's wedding. It's like, yeah, but then does that have that emotional gravitas that pulled through? Bridesmaids is a drama at its heart. It's just a very, very funny drama.
Also, I feel like in the first movie, you're so much of the movie is meeting the characters and getting to know them and see how they interact with each other, and you do lose that in the second one because you know them already.
Mm-hmm. Kristen, this was the final role for Jill Clayburgh, a legend who plays your mom in the film. Can you just tell us a little bit about what it was like to work with her on Bridesmaids?
She was,
and also obviously all of you as well.
Yeah, I mean, she was not only a dream, but she was so game. And there was a scene where we're on the couch, right, Paul? Yes. And we had these jokes we wanted to give her, but we were kind of like, oh, this is Jill. We make her say this stuff, and she's like, give it to me. She's like, I'll say it. And she had like the best time. And she was just, an amazing presence to have. And we could not believe when we got the news that she was doing it. And, she's missed. And I loved working with her.
Yeah. It's one of my saddest things in the world that she didn't get to see the final movie.
How did the idea come to go out to her to take on this role? Because she hadn't acted much at that time.
Yeah.
We were all just fans. I mean, to be honest, my very first Hollywood crush was on Jill Clayburgh when she was in Silver Streak as a teenager. I was just like, So I remember when her name came up, it's just like, oh my God, So I couldn't wait to get her, and I couldn't believe we got her, like you said.
Oh, fantastic! Silver Streak shot in Toronto, weirdly. It's just
there you go.
A piece of movie trivia. We're almost out of time. I just want to end. Paul, I know you're a fan of cocktails. You've been doing these great parties on Instagram. I hope we're all fans of cocktails, even if you don't have one in your hand like we do. I should give it this one.
I'll get
I
one.
do want to ask you, if you can think of one, what is a good drinking game for watching Bridesmaids?
Well, it depends if you want to die of alcohol poisoning or not. Gosh, what would be I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, the greatest would be is if you could take a drink every time you thought Rose Byrne was about to break.
Okay.
But I think we hit it pretty well, so you wouldn't get too many drinks.
Okay. There should maybe be a Jon Hamm drinking game as well, because he's funny in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us for Stay-at-Home Cinema. We're all looking forward to starting Bridesmaids. We're going to start at 7:45 Eastern, 4:45 on the West Coast. Across Canada, we're watching on Crave. If you're in the US or anywhere else, just find Bridesmaids. Watch along with us. We'll be tweeting. We use the hashtag TIFF@home. And thank you all for joining us and for this incredible movie.
Thank you. Great night. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Yes.
Bye.